Hello, welcome back to Doubles and Trebles. It's Pieman here with your Wednesday afternoon preview on the 28th of December 2022. World Championship action. We've had 6 of the last 32 games. We've got 10 to go, and another 6 of them are on the way throughout today. So, just looking back at yesterday, obviously a great 10-1 winning treble in the afternoon. Unfortunately, couldn't quite follow it up on the evening. 2 out of 3 winning selections. Barney's flop letting us down for last night's ACCA. A bit of a shame, really, but he just didn't really get going, did he? And Price, you have to credit him, was immense. Gabriel Clemens and Kim Hybrex doing their respective jobs for us, the latter causing the shock of the tournament, of course, when knocking out Peter Wright, who was well below par. Might be some more upsets in store today, I wonder. Well, let's have a look at this afternoon's games and have a selection from each game as per. So starting off with Ryan Searle versus Jose de Souza to get us going on Wednesday. Two extremely capable players on their day meeting in the opener. Searle has been instilled as a roughly 4-6 favourite, with the special one currently out at a best price of 7-5, was 11-8. So yeah, this market has been moving quite a bit. I think with good reason as well. Ryan Searle getting the support. But two very capable players on their day. They look like they're both going to move into the provisional top 16 post-Worlds, despite not having vintage years by any stretch. Heavy Metal's made it to round 4 in 3 of the last 4 seasons, while Jose's never made it beyond round 3. So he's maybe got a little bit of a mental hurdle to overcome there. Searle made pretty light work of Adam Gowlash in his first game, beating the Czech youngster 3-0. 86 average, nothing to write home about, but it was pretty solid, especially on the outer ring, where he was nearly 50% on his doubles. We've come to expect that kind of finishing from Ryan Searle. The year has been a little bit underwhelming on the stage for sure, but he did win a Players' Championship and make a further 2 finals. So they are the hallmark of a really classy operator. His top sitting, as we all know, is generally sublime, and he's certainly the more reliable player of this duo, I would say. Jose, on the other hand, blows extreme hot and cold, but he hasn't been at his breathtaking best very much, really, in 2022. When he is, 180s are flowing, the flashy checkouts are there. He can look unplayable for brief periods, but it's just not happening enough for me to trust him, really. A couple of Euro Tour semi-finals as good as it's got this year. And as much as I like him, I can't really get with him when he's playing this caliber of opponent. He made hard work of it against Simon Whitlock. He was 2-0 down, and you know that immense 180 hitting when it sparks into life. It often keeps him in games, but Searle can more than go with him in the scoring department as well. So I actually think Searle will probably see Jose off quite comfortably, maybe 4-1 or 4-2. I'm happy to keep it simple at the prices and back Heavy Metal 4-6. So yeah, 4-6 for the Ryan Searle win, I think, is a pretty fair price for your Accas. Moving on, Danny Noppert plays Alan Suter in the second game, and this is a much more wide affair in the betting in terms of a strong favourite. However, there has been support for the underdog in Alan Suter, and I can totally understand why that's the case. Suter's been impressive, and anyone that's watched the Doubles and Trebles content from the start of the World Championships will remember that in our big betting preview, we actually put up Danny Noppert in quarter one as the 11-2 nap, and Alan Suter as the cover bet at 50s. So anyone that has backed those two selections in this quarter can sort of sit back and relax. Yeah, as you see, a little bit of blue around Alan Suter there. He's now just sort of gone under 2-1 at most places. Noppert drifting a little bit. Now, when I break this game down, Danny Noppert, I thought he was kept up to his work late by Dave Cameron, but it was really impressive the way he got over the line, because Cameron was just threatening to make the match interesting. He just nicked the third set to make it 2-1. He was firing in 180s, but he completely held himself together, Noppert. And I thought it was, very impressive the way he sort of galloped towards the finish. The exits of Nathan Aspinall and James Wade mean he's like odds on to be inside of the top 8 by the end of this tournament. And that means a Premier League place is surely not out of the question if he can have a deep run to the quarters or the semis, given everything else he's achieved recently. He's a very rounded player and he doesn't get too flustered. He hit 6 maximums versus Cameron in that first game, and that's pretty standard for Noppy. He's a deceptively good scorer, probably doesn't get the credit for his scoring that he deserves. He's going to face a stern test from Alan Suter. He did a professional job on Malcolm in 3-0, and then he stunned Daryl Gurney 3-0. What I would say is that game was tighter than the scoreline suggests, and it was Suter's trademark big finishes that kind of got him over the line there, none more so than the 160 to win it when Gurney was sat on tops to make it 2-1. That could have been a very different game there because the momentum was just starting to turn a little bit in that match. Suit's very likeable, got to be one of my favourite players on the circuit. He's very workmanlike and just goes about his business, similar to Noppert really, and he groups his darts brilliantly well, which makes him a dangerous 180 hitter when he's playing well. And his combination finishing, we all know about that. I mean, he showed it at Ali Pali last year. He's shown it again this year. The one thing I would say for Suits is I fear his base level, and this is reflected in the seasonal averages, 4 or 5 points difference. His base level is slightly lower than Noppert's. So the longer the format you go, the more likely that is to sort of mirror up with what we actually see in terms of a result. So I think the long set format, best of 7 sets, has to favour Noppert getting over the line here. I think the Freeze is a worthy favourite. I'm not going to play him at 2-5. He is drifting a bit, but I'm not going to play at that price. I actually think that this game will go deep or fairly deep with Noppert winning. However, the way I'm going to play it is the maximums line. I'm going to play over 12.5 180s because so far in this tournament, Noppert's hitting a max every 3 legs and Suits is hitting one roughly every 4 legs. So theoretically, if we're expecting over 20 legs, i.e., into the 6th set kind of region, then we can easily cover this line, especially given I'm expecting both to kind of feed off each other, both enjoy themselves with the crowd. So I'm happy to get with the maximum line. Over 12.5 180s is even money, and that's the one that's going to be going on my multiple. So that is, I will just show you that one in the betting there. Yeah, so most 180, total 180 is over 12.5, even money there. And that's about the price across the board as things stand. So, third and final match then is Gary Anderson versus Chris Dobey. This, as regular viewers will know, Gary Anderson. I always have to be very careful when assessing a Gary Anderson match. I am a little bit nostalgic with Mr. Anderson. Adam has accused me several times of not accepting his decline. But the reason I can't really accept his decline is because I know he still retains ability. And the one place that we know he will bring his best game is at the World Championship. Really impressive against Madars Razma in round 1. 300 plus checkouts, some brilliant scoring, and that all equated to a 96 plus average and a 3-1 victory for the Flying Scotsman. Anderson admits that nothing gets him going like the world. He doesn't practice a lot. We know this through the year. Very frustrating for fans and backers of him to know where he's at, but we know that he produces his best here. And he also has a record of producing his best against Chris Dobey. If you look a little bit back in their recent meetings, 4 of the last 6 meetings, Anderson has averaged north of a ton. So he obviously enjoys playing Chris Dobey. I think there's 2 factors. The pace of play is very similar. Both like to get on with it, both very similar in their throat and their style. And he obviously has a lot of comfort from playing and beating Dobey several times before. Dobey has sometimes lacked a bit of self-belief in his career, and I think Anderson, with his experience, is a master of sensing such weaknesses or mental advantages. However, it must be said, this has been an improved Chris Dobey this term. Hollywood, he never looked under threat against Martin Kleermaker, winning 3-0, very comfortable, 5 maximums. Despite only averaging in the 80s, you feel like he had gears there. And, doubles cost him a comfortable mid-90s average. One thing I would say about these players, they both love the lipstick, but that has been factored into the 180 line. I think 14 or 15 is what you needed to cover that line. Looking more at the match betting again, like the first game, Anderson instilled as a very narrow favourite, which some will probably take liberty with given his season. But I'm happy to just assess them on their world's form. And I think that with the occasion, I have to go with Anderson here. I do really like Dobey, but so many times in his career we've seen in this kind of game, he'll play quite well, but he'd just come up short. And I think the way that Anderson got that sort of foot into the tournament against Razma means that if he can just, repeat the trick here, I think the pace of play, as I say, the comfort against his opponent just probably favours Anderson. He's just shy of evens, and I'm going to back the experience to prevail here. So Gary Anderson win is the selection. And that leaves us with a treble of Ryan Searle, Gary Anderson, and over 12 180s in the middle match between Danny Noppert and Alan Suter. got these on my bet slip here. And as you will see, if Oddschecker wants to play ball, it is currently paying a best price of around 5-1. Unfortunately, my slip won't load up for some reason. But yes, it's around 5-1 best price. So, yeah, not going to show, unfortunately, guys, but you can get a 5-1 just about anywhere, and a couple of the selections are actually on the drift, so you might get a little bit over to 1, but for the purposes of the channel, we'll call it a 5-1 treble. That is your afternoon preview here on Doubles and Trebles. Let us know what you're backing in the comments. Please subscribe and do hit the like button if you're enjoying these previews. We'll hopefully be back with some evening previews as well. That'll be a little bit time dependent, but either way, good luck with your bets and enjoy the darts. Thanks for watching.